In the fast-moving world of news, it's easy to miss the meaning between the lines. That's where we come in. Each episode, we take real headlines from Newsline Philippines and let AI break them down. Not just the what, but the why it matters.
Have you ever stopped to think about, how much certain words matter in a legal case? Like, imagine a really serious criminal charge, and it uses a term like niece or uncle, just everyday family words.
Right.
Does that word, legally mean the same thing? Does it carry the weight it needs to for the law?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? It gets right to that tension between legal precision, needing things exact, and basic clarity. You need the law to be precise, but the person accused has to understand the charge too.
Absolutely. And this exact issue just came up before the Supreme Court of the Philippines. They released a decision on whether using those common family terms is actually enough to establish what's called a qualifying relationship in a criminal charge.
Yeah, and that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at a Newsline Philippines article that summarized this really quite important ruling.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive. Let's unpack why the specific words used in a charge sheet can make such a huge difference. We'll look at what the Supreme Court decided is good enough and, what that means for legal clarity going forward.
So the background here is a case involving qualified rape of a minor. The accused, who's identified just as BBB in the reports, the charge sheet, the official information document, it simply stated the victim was his niece.
Just niece, that's it, not some complex legal phrase?
Nope, just niece. Now, under Philippine law, certain relationships, like being a relative within the third civil degree, can qualify the crime. That means it makes the offense more serious, bumps up the penalty.
And third degree includes uncles and nieces.
Exactly. Parents, children, siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces. They all fall within that third degree. And in this specific case, the victim did testify that the accused was, in fact, her maternal uncle.
So the actual relationship is there, but the official charge just used the common word niece. So what happened in court then?
Well, the first court, the regional trial court, found BBB guilty. And they did apply the higher penalty because of that uncle-niece relationship mentioned.
Okay, makes sense so far. But I gather it didn't end there. What about the appeal?
Right. When it went up to the Court of Appeals, they saw it differently. They actually said the crime couldn't be qualified based on the relationship.
Why not?
Because, in their view, the charge sheet only said niece. They felt it needed the specific legal language relative within the third civil degree to properly establish that element for the higher penalty.
Ah, okay, so they wanted the technical term. This really highlights that clash, doesn't it? Everyday language versus, strict legal jargon. What did the Supreme Court finally say?
The Supreme Court stepped in and reversed the Court of Appeals. They upheld the original conviction for statutory rape with the qualification based on the relationship.
So they sided with the first court?
Yes. The highest court basically ruled that using a standard, commonly understood term that clearly defines the relationship like niece is sufficient.
Sufficient?
How
sufficient for what purpose?
Sufficient to properly inform the accused about the specific nature of the charge against him. And, critically, sufficient to uphold his right to due process.
Due process, okay.
The court emphasized that saying the victim was his niece clearly described that relationship in, ordinary language. Anyone reading it would understand.
Ordinary language. That really seems to be the key takeaway here, the principle the SC focused on.
It really is. They pointed out that describing her as his niece fulfills the requirement to fully inform him, allowing him to prepare a proper defense. And one justice even wrote in a concurring opinion that just saying niece is arguably more straightforward than the technical phrase. It fits better with the rules that say charge sheets should use ordinary, concise language.
Interesting. But wasn't there some disagreement on the court? A different view?
Yes, there was. A dissenting opinion argued quite strongly that the relationship must be stated using the precise legal wording from the statute. This justice emphasized technical accuracy based on some past precedents. So you definitely see that ongoing debate about balancing legal formality with accessibility.
But the majority ruled. So the final word is that niece was enough.
Correct. The Supreme Court affirmed that using niece was sufficient to qualify the crime. The conviction, with the higher penalty based on that relationship, stands.
Okay, so the big takeaway for everyone listening is this clear signal from the Supreme Court. They seem to be favoring ordinary, understandable language, at least when it comes to describing these qualifying relationships in charge sheets. It really highlights the court trying to balance things, doesn't it? Making sure legal documents are clear, that due process is followed, that the accused actually understands what they're facing, even when the underlying laws are complex.
It does. And it makes you think, right, if common terms like niece are good enough for clarity in these really serious cases, well, what other parts of legal writing could maybe benefit from a similar focus on accessible language?
Yeah, and what challenges might pop up if we tried to do that more broadly? How do you keep the necessary legal precision while making it easier for everyone to understand?
It's that constant balancing act, isn't it, between technical legal language and everyday understanding. What does this decision really tell us about where the justice system is heading on that front? Definitely something to mull over.